Alright, welcome back. Today's video we're going to be going over emergency communications for the unprepared or family members that aren't preparing and you want to get them something so they're able to communicate to the outside world during an SHGF event or a natural disaster. So let's go ahead and dive into it. These two radios here are going to be the ones I prefer for an emergency communication plan as a family that's not really family members that aren't really set up or in a prepper mindset, say like the elderly, a younger brother or sister, or say your parents that aren't really in the prepper mindset, or they're not just tech savvy. So the 5RMs are going to have built-in NOAA frequencies. If you hold down the 0 button, you're going to see that it has programmed NOAA frequencies already built in there, so they don't have to type in frequencies. It's already built into the radio itself. Along with that, say you buy these radios, you have one for you and one for the other family member, but you're too far away to transmit from handheld to handheld. This family member, the elderly, we'll just use the elderly family member as an example for the rest of this video. The elderly family member is going to be able to hold down this green button on the side of the radio here, and as you can see, it's going to say scanning for frequencies. Now what that does is if there's any frequency that is being transmitted around this radio is going to be able to pick it up and listen to that frequency, which is a nice feature for someone who doesn't know frequencies or isn't tech savvy enough to punch them in. They can just hit that button and listen to radio frequencies being transmitted in that area. I have notes over here, so if you see me looking off to the side, that's what I'm doing. Another major benefit of this radio, which is another reason why I recommend these radios over the UV5R, is going to be the charging, the way it's charged. So if you're handing these out to family members that aren't in the prepper mindset, they're not going to have power banks, they're not going to have these solar panels, but what they are going to have is a car. Most people have car chargers in their cars, and most of the phones nowadays run off of USB-C. These radios are chargeable via USB-C cable on the back of the radio. So if the power's out and they don't have a solar bank, they don't have a solar panel, they can still charge their radio directly from their car with a car charger. Another feature of this radio, it has a built-in flashlight up here on the top. So if the batteries go dead on their flashlight, at least they have a backup. Along with a FM radio built in, you hit the orange button on the side and it'll display an FM radio so they can listen to normal radio to pass the time by if there's a power outage or such. Now, ease of use on this radio, as you can see, it has a much bigger screen than the UV5R here, which is going to be able to let them see what frequency they're on much easier. And it's just going to be easier to see for the elderly or people that's hard of seeing. The 5RM has bigger buttons than the UV5R, so it's going to be easier to press if they do know how frequencies work and they are able to punch frequencies into this radio. Now, these radios are programmable. You can use Chirp, or if you're like me and I don't know how to use Chirp or anything like that, so I went over to TID Radio and bought this Bluetooth programmer. The Bluetooth programmer hooks directly into the side of the radio here with the normal jacks here. You just plug it in that way, and you're able to pre-program channels. So this radio is already programmed. As you can see here, I've programmed this radio. So if you want emergency channels on your radio for the radio that you're handing out to your family member, you can go ahead and program emergency channels. You can fire, EMS, local police, stuff like that. You can also program a family channel in here so they know in a case of emergency they can scroll to channel 15 and it'll be labeled family. That way they know they can get on that channel and talk to you guys. Now, I know you guys are going to wonder, well, what's the range on these handhelds? I live in a very heavily mountainous and wooded terrain in the Appalachian Mountains. From radio to radio, without using a repeater, I was able to talk 3.8 miles. You're like, oh, well, 3.8 miles ain't that far. Well, if you're living in a small town and say grandma's on the other side of town and you're on this side, but there's a bridge in between you guys and the bridge was washed out during a flood. Now, if you're able to get 3.8 miles between each other, you're going to be able to talk to each other. And normally in an emergency situation, I know at least where I live, cell towers rely on the grid, and when the power goes out in my area, there's a generator on the cell tower, but after a while the cell tower goes down. Having radios like this is going to be able to keep you in contact with your loved ones, and and these are rechargeable, so as long as your car battery works, you're going to be able to talk to each other on this, or if you do give them a power bank. So this is another video into the emergency communication series, and I hope you guys like this. If you stuck around this long, I really hope you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more.